Well, a very good morning to you. We're getting very close now to Immock, and there's been a huge amount of work going on in the garden, and the clearing up, and the cleaning up, and the cutting back, and everything else. And it's just been wonderful to work outdoors. However, it's been really, really cold, very frosty, lots of snow, lots of ice, been kind of iced in for quite some time. The frost has only just gone. And then there's the fox. Now, Mrs. Fox, because I think it is a female, because she's rather rotund, therefore expecting babies, managed to get a little video of her. So she's towards the end of this video. What else? Just for today, enjoying the beautiful day that's in it and taking you round through the forest gardens and showing you just what's happening and all the different colours, despite the fact that this is towards the end of January. Of course, one of the reasons why there's so many different colours is simply because the sap is rising, and when the sap starts to rise in the trees and the shrubs, you get this beautiful change of colour on the wood, and it's just amazing. So, besides all that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the very beginnings of NO Cottage and the NO project, because I realise that there's a lot of new subscribers to this channel. The land where I'm walking now was approximately 2.5 fields filled with rushes. I mean, just it was just absolutely covered in rushes, and very compressed land, north facing, so it was assured to me, I was assured that nothing really would grow here. You know, put a couple of cows on the land and that would be the best I could possibly hope for. Well, the one thing I like is a challenge. And when I'm told that I can't possibly do something or achieve something, I see that as a red flag to a bull. I started planting because I had already started to envision this place. I always wanted a cottage in the woods, and very difficult to find a cottage in the woods here in Ireland, because up until fairly recently, Ireland had the lowest tree cover in the whole of Europe. I think it was about 11%, something like that. Now, of course the tree cover has increased, but sadly it is mostly coniferous trees, and in particular the Sitka spruce. And they're planted in big plantations, and it's a money crop. So it's not even seen as a woodland. It is basically just a commodity to be reaped. So I started planting all the trees that I thought would be, as I have called them, I think I've termed it, pioneer trees. Now I say termed it because I have a website which is about 12, 13 years old now, and this YouTube channel which is nearing that as well. And I have been recording much of my work on a regular basis. So lots of willow and birch and alder went in. And these trees, of course, put their roots down and take up huge amounts of water, drop massive amount of leaves, and begin to form, certainly in terms which are recognised by biologists and horticulturalists, a woodland floor. And you can see here all the leaves that are dropped over the course of the autumn. And of course this goes to build up an incredible fertile soil layer. So I planted trees, and when I say planted, I don't mean just sticking a little twig into the ground, but actually digging a hole and planting. Now in some cases there was nothing to dig, so I had to lay out the bare roots of the tree on the soil and dig up soil and pack it around the tree. And there are still quite a few of these trees that you can see here in the woodland, which are planted up onto what appears to be a bank, but in fact it's a woman-made bank and not one that was here previously. I continued to plant. This is a particular one here. This is an evergreen oak, I think it is. Quercus, yeah. I get trees as gifts from my children mostly, the more expensive ones that I wouldn't have been able to afford. But most of the trees that went in here are bare-rooted stock. And the bare-rooted stock would have cost me anything from €1 to about €4. So it didn't cost very much to plant a woodland. Altogether now, there are something like around 11 to 1200 trees planted on 3 acres. Slowly, the willow is coming down. That's been coppiced and taken up to the cottage, stored in various outbuildings and used as fuel for the stoves. Because the aim, of course, was to become self-sufficient in fuel as well, which, interestingly enough, I think you will agree, was a very prophetic thing to do. Because, of course, we know where we're at now. We have arrived at a point in our civilization where the costs of energy are extremely high and they're not coming down anytime soon. And people are having to choose whether to heat or eat. Now you see this stream. Well, there was no stream here in the beginning, but the land was very, very wet. And what I did, I divined for water, and indeed I found it on the first attempt, and I dug down through the earth and through the rock itself with a pickaxe, and the water began to flow. And from that day to this, there is a spring well actually on the land at the Old Cottage, not to be confused with the spring well up on the hill behind the cottage that feeds the cottage with water. So it's been quite an amazing journey. I've been here now for 18 years. I came in 2004 and started planting straight away. I spent all the money I had, which is basically pension money that I drew down early. I drew that down a long time before it was due to me, so consequently have little or no pension. But look I have a beautiful life. I have a wealth of beauty around me. Now here is the fox, and you can see it's actually eating the bird food. Now, Bealtaine Cottage has become a little bit of an animal sanctuary because I do create what I refer to as animal habitats or habitat piles. So I'm inclined to pile up wood and leaves and branches into piles, and that provides a lot of habitat for all the life that exists here. And you can see the birds are quite comfortable being there beside the fox, because of course where animals are fed or their hunger is satiated, then they're not really too much of a threat. And this is the bird song. Just amazing. So blessings to you all. And for those of you who are new, welcome to NO Cottage. Just a little addendum here to confirm that the initial trees I planted, which were all pioneer trees, I didn't just plant those, I planted all the secondary trees, all the long life, 200, 300, 400-year-old plus trees alongside. So consequently, I've got a huge range of some of the most beautiful trees, including oaks, which are incredibly developed considering most of them are 16 or 17 years old and therefore just teenagers. Oak, ash, rowan trees, beech, cherry, wild cherry, apple trees, pear, cherry trees. The list just goes on and on. It is a very complex woodland, and because of the complexity, there's a wonderful life that has evolved through it. I'm now very much involved in woodland management, and therefore I don't cut trees down. What I've been doing, and it's very interesting to get involved in something like this, I've been coppicing and pollarding. That does not involve cutting the tree down, and consequently I have an abundant supply of fuel without any loss to my woodland. And indeed, it does the woodland good. It helps to create more light so more can grow. If you move along to the very end of this video, you will see some photographs of what NO Cottage looked like at the very beginning of this project. So it's been completely transformed by planting a woodland. To me, it's paradise. Incredibly beautiful. So this is the calendar, which is still available on the website. And the months of the year and the days of the week are in Irish. And all the Celtic festivals are marked out in it. And it's filled with photographs and some writing, some interesting little bits and pieces of writing. Okay. And this is the back of it. Even some writing and photographs on the back. Then I also have, let me just get these books lined up. My first book, A Cottage in 3 Acres. Now this comes with, I think there's about 70 photographs in there. I know the calendar has between 50 and 60 or perhaps 70 photographs as well. But this details my journey from 2004, when I stumbled upon this little place, up until 2013. My second book, In Search of the Goddess Rising, this is very much inspired by living in the west of Ireland, because Ireland is a very female identity. We call it Mother Ireland. And this is all about the goddess and the culture here, and the way in which the landscape and our thoughts on life and our thoughts on family are all influenced by the goddess culture. Ireland was even named after one of the beautiful goddesses. This third book explores my journey over the past 18 and a half, getting on for 19 years. Walking Between Worlds is an exploration of this world and the other world. And again, lots of images in it. Delving, weaving, going right across, the warp and the weft, looking at the she, the fairy world, the other world, the influence of the Celts, the influence of all that is seen and unseen, especially the unseen. There's a great depth of spiritual exploration in this, and bringing us right up to, the modern day, and UFOs. Did you know that there was a recording, I say a recording because it was translated from the ancient Irish, of what could only be a UFO back in the 11th century here in Ireland? Much to talk about and to think about there. And this little booklet, the Bealtaine Cottage Guide to the Deep Midwinter, it has got recipes, it's got photographs, it's got some little stories, it's got all things pertaining to the beautiful, enchanting, deep midwinter. All available on the website, and the links are to be found under every video. A little view of Bealtaine Cottage when I first bought the cottage, and this was the land looking up from the road and the land looking down from the cottage. Blessings to you all.